Well, Chapter 11 for Driver's Ed today is titled Sharing the Roadway. On page 206, Lesson 1 is Pedestrians. Of all roadway users, pedestrians are the most vulnerable. In the United States, collisions injure an average of one pedestrian every 8 minutes and kill one pedestrian every 108 minutes. That's quite a few. Some pedestrians jaywalk, which means they disregard traffic rules and signals. So they're walking in an area where there's no crosswalk. Nearly half of all pedestrian fatalities involve the use of alcohol by the driver or the pedestrian. So we need to protect pedestrians. Use the IPDE process and always be ready to yield to them. Be particularly alert in the following situations. Around crosswalks, you must yield until everyone has cleared the crosswalk, even if your light is green. A couple of rules on that one. If you're almost to the crosswalk and they're just barely starting, you're good to go. If they're halfway across and you're anywhere close, definitely stop. And then make sure they're past you and even past the other lane before you go. If you start taking off, then the other car won't realize you have stopped previously. If they see your brake lights on, hopefully they slow down and stop, because your car might be blocking the view for them to see that pedestrian. Intersections, collisions with pedestrians often occur when vehicles are turning left. Before turning right on red, always yield to pedestrians who are in or approaching the roadway. Alleys and driveways, first stop before the sidewalk and search in both directions, and then stop again before to look for traffic just before entering the street. Business districts typically have heavy traffic and many pedestrians. A lot of downtown areas, there's places where people might leave work and cross the street to go eat. They're on a limited amount of time. They may jaywalk, they may run across. Lots of traffic, lots of people, so be aware of those areas. Residential areas, when driving in a residential area, reduce speed and use a lane position with the best visibility. Again, children playing, lots of activities going on there. Reduce visibility, most collisions with pedestrians occur at night. Pedestrian responsibilities. Expect that drivers may not see you or that they may not yield the right of way. Make yourself visible, walk on the sidewalks, use crosswalks and obey traffic signals, watch for oncoming traffic, and do not walk into traffic lanes from between parked vehicles. Now notice the picture on the top of 208. So if you are a pedestrian walking and there is no sidewalk, then that is the correct place to walk on the side of the road. Okay? You can see traffic coming towards you. If you're on the right side, you can hear the car coming, but what if they're distracted and they're headed right for you? You wouldn't see that until it was too late. And always remember, pedestrians have the right of way in every situation. Now obviously if somebody, you're traveling down Main Street, somebody just comes out from behind a parked car and you hit them, you had no intention of that, really not much you can do there. And you wouldn't be held responsible. But in any case, or in most cases, please, pedestrians do have the right of way. Okay, bicycles and mopeds. A moped is a small two-wheeled vehicle that can be driven with either a motor or pedals. Mopeds are not permitted on high-speed roadways. Searching for them. Use the IPD process to actively search for them. Scan widely enough to include the sides of the road. Okay, driver responsibility. Because mopeds and bicycles are so vulnerable, drivers of larger vehicles have the responsibility to protect them and look out for them. Some cities and towns have lanes that are reserved for bicycles. Never park or drive in a marked bicycle lane. So you can see the bottom of 210, there's a bicycle lane. Once they completed our Main Street, we now have a bicycle lane on Fillmore's Main Street. Passing, leave at least one half lane between your vehicle and the bicycle. So at least 3 feet as you go around a bicycle or a motorcycle, whatever. Turning, do not make a quick right turn in front of a bicycle or moped, okay? So if they're continuing straight, don't rush to hurry and turn in front of them. Let them continue on, and then just turn in behind them as you make that turn. It's a few extra seconds. It's not a big deal, so be safe. When turning left, search for bicycles and approach the intersection. Backing out, check and check again when backing out of a driveway, parking lot, or side street that has line of sight restrictions. Exiting a parked car, before opening your door, check your rear zone for bicyclists. Share more of the road by increasing your distance from them if you are in bad weather conditions. Okay, then there's some responsibilities of the cyclists. When riding a bicycle or moped, you must obey all traffic laws such as stop signs, traffic lights, and lane markings. When riding with others, ride single file. To protect yourself, always wear a helmet, light-colored clothing, reflective tape, and of course, you should never wear headphones. What was I going to mention? Oh yeah, so again, if you're on a bicycle and you're approaching a stop sign and you look and you don't see any cars, just because there's no cars coming doesn't mean you can go through the stop sign. What if I'm in my car and I looked, oh, I don't see any cars, can I go through the stop sign? No. So on a bike, you have to stop. You have to obey all traffic laws. Okay, motorcycles and scooters on page 212. Scooters are generally smaller and less performance oriented than motorcycles, although some are large as a mid-size motorcycle. And they are expected to obey all traffic laws and rules of the road. Riding a two-wheeled vehicle, motorcycles are less stable at very low speeds than at higher speeds. A bike, a big bike can be very heavy, and if you lose your balance, it's probably going to go over. But once you're up to speed, it can be fairly stable. A patch of gravel or wet leaves can be a serious hazard for a motorcyclist or scooter. Motorcycles and scooters are capable of amazing acceleration. They're not real heavy. I mean, they're heavy, but compared to a car, they're not as heavy, and they have very quick and powerful acceleration. Locking the front or rear brake can result in a loss of control. Again, a motorcycle especially, if you lock up the front wheel, that's bad. You want your brake to work on the back wheel if at all possible. And then choose a lane position carefully, respect the rider's needs and legal rights to use their full lane, never share the lane. When a motorcycle collides with another vehicle, the driver of the other vehicle is at fault more than 50% of the time. Sometimes it's the biker's fault, but more often it's the driver of the car. Okay, searching at intersections. A blinking turn signal is not an absolute guarantee that the rider is turning. And I think I've talked about that in any situation. Just because you see a signal on, you need to make sure that they are in fact turning. Okay, 214. Look for other indications that the rider plans to turn. So you can see the picture at the top. Okay, the view of the motorcycle is blocked by the silver car. Turning right. Watch for riders who are making right turns to and stay within your lane. Turning left in front of an oncoming rider is a major cause of rider fatalities. A lot of times drivers think, oh, they're not very big. They're not a threat to me in my big truck. And sometimes they may look beyond them as they drive down the road, or not really give them any credit for existing there. They just may not pay much attention to them. So. A left turn onto a two-lane road requires at least 7 seconds. So again, to get started and move across those roads can take some time. In adverse weather conditions, a motorcyclist has limited protection. A rider may have reduced vision, especially if the rider is not wearing a face shield or goggles. Heavy winds can affect a rider's balance. Carrying passengers at low speeds, the operator may have difficulty with balance and control because you've got that extra weight of that pedestrian or passenger on the bike. Riding in groups, when 2 or more motorcyclists travel together, they should ride in an offset position. So I guess they can be in the lane together but offset, okay? One a little farther behind the other, not side by side. Protective gear, riders can reduce or prevent injuries by using heavy boots, leather pants, jackets, gloves, and of course the helmet. That's a law I don't understand, is we require people to put a seatbelt on in a car, but when a motorcyclist is over 18 on a bike, there's no law that says, hey, you need to wear a helmet, okay? I didn't get a bike in high school because my brother kind of ruined that for me. At least that's what I remember of the story. He got a bike and my dad said, I don't ever want to see you without that helmet on. And one evening, my dad was going down the road and there's my brother without his helmet. He says, you go home right now and you get that helmet on. We used to live on 300 North. And so he's coming up to Main Street by Clough's, headed south, across from where the old city building, Dino's, used to be. The Owenses live there on the corner of that big White House. Right next to it, there used to be a Chevron gas station. The Brinkerhoffs owned that. Anyway, so my brother's heading south, and he's riding along, and there's some kids at the station, and they yell at him. So he's traveling south, and he looks over, waves at him, but when he comes back, the car in front of him had stopped for a pedestrian crossing the street. And he hit right into the back of that car and launched him up, and he hit head first on top of that car. So it was a good thing he had his helmet on. So goggles or face shield, gloves, over the ankle boots, sturdy jacket and pants. I remember being at Carl's one evening, and this guy came in, had his leathers on, and the do-rag, I guess they call it, that he had on underneath the helmet. And he's talking to some people, and you look at somebody like that and you have thoughts of what type of person they are. And anyway, I overheard him talking, and he said, well, I'm a bishop up in Salt Lake or somewhere. And anyway, and I'm just like, oh, you just never know. Okay, I think this is our last one. So number 4 is trucks, buses, and emergency and specialized vehicles. A truck that has a powerful tractor pulling a separate trailer is called a tractor trailer. Semi-diesel is what we call them. When driving near these vehicles, increase your space cushion to reduce your risk. Areas around the truck when your car can disappear from their view, these blind spots are called the no zone. So get by a truck as quickly as possible. Don't speed, but also be aware that you're passing them or that they're by you on either side, but don't look at them. Just get by, notice they're there, but don't look at them, because if you stare at the truck or look at it, it has a tendency to kind of draw you into it. When following a large truck, it causes a line of sight restriction, so that big trailer blocks you being able to see up the side of the road and in front of you in that lane. When a truck is making a right turn, you can see this picture at the bottom right. Trying to squeeze in between the truck and the curb is an invitation for disaster, okay? That trailer's got to have tracking room. It's got to have room to be able to make that turn. And the trailer is going to turn sharper than the tractor, than the truck part. So it is safer to pass trucks that are going uphill than trucks that are going downhill because they're going slower. Reduce your risk by using these 2 good habits. Stay in lane position 2, complete your pass carefully and quickly, don't linger. Signal and return to your lane only after you can see at least one headlight in your rear view mirror. Don't slow down. That is a really important one. As you're passing, as soon as you clear the front of the truck or whatever you're passing, I would put your signal on. And then as you continue to gain distance beyond it, then look in your rear view mirror, and if you can see headlights of the vehicle you're passing, then you're good to move back over. And again, I've had this happen even on a driving test. Don't slow down. Maintain that speed. If you're going 80, maintain 80 miles an hour. Okay, meeting a large truck, hold the steering wheel firmly because you may encounter a gust of wind. This would be on a 2-lane road, like from between here and Delta. The truck is going by and there's quite a bit of a gust of wind that can happen. Okay, buses. When driving behind a bus, increase your following distance to improve your line of sight. Public buses, local transportation. Buses make frequent stops to pick up and drop off passengers, usually at intersections, but could be anywhere. School buses, reduce speed around school bus stops. You must stop for the flashing red lights on a school bus, or when the little stop sign swings out, or both. All traffic must remain stopped until the flashing red lights are turned off. Passing a stopped school bus with flashing red lights is a serious offense and can result in a large fine or even a suspended license. So let's say you're driving along and you think, well, I can see the kids haven't even got off the bus yet, but the lights are, the red lights went on and that stop sign came out. And you think, I'm safe, and you just go on by. Well, 2 weeks later, you get a ticket in the mail. And you're thinking, I didn't see any policemen around, what happened? Well, the bus driver has the right to write down your license number and turn that in. So always be safe around school buses. Emergency vehicles, respond to fires, medical emergencies, rescues, and incidences involving hazardous materials. When an emergency vehicle approaches from any direction, you must yield the right of way. Avoid gawking or rubbernecking. This only adds to congestion and potential conflicts. And so if you're traveling and a vehicle is coming behind you and going faster than you, you need to pull over to the right and stop. If it's coming in the opposite direction, you need to pull over to the right, slow down, but you don't need to stop. Okay, final one. Snow plows and other equipment. Protruding equipment can cause serious harm to you and your vehicle, so be careful when passing those vehicles. Low-speed vehicles include all four-wheeled vehicles except trucks with top speeds between 20 and 25. So a golf cart might be a good example there. Retirement communities might have some slower vehicles like that. So again, be careful, be aware of that. So we'll do this test on, this would be Wednesday, and that would be open book again. So, okay, thank you.